Ultimate greed on Wall Street. Housing aside, despite repeated injections of taxpayer money, the financial system continues to be on the brink of disaster. And while some hope abounds for Obama's new approach, described as a fundamental reform of the $700 billion rescue plan, it may still require trillions and trillions more dollars, putting added pressure on our unstable economy. And CEO John Thain should have known the rules. Of course he knew the rules. After all, when he became CEO of the New York Stock Exchange in 2004, he had replaced Richard Grasso, a man who embodied the excesses of the times, and was forced out for taking a massive annual pay package of $187.5 million. John Thain at the time accepted a much smaller $4 million, although he would go on to want a lot more. After he became head of Merrill-Lynch in late 2007, he sped up bonuses to several executives before Bank of America Corporation bought the investment bank on January 1st. He also spent approximately $1.2 million decorating his Manhattan office, according to media reports, as Merrill-Lynch lost huge sums of money, a decision that's now invoking particular rage and anger among Americans, including President Barack Obama. Thain left his post at Bank of America last week after unexpectedly big losses at Merrill Lynch. The bonuses were a likely contributing factor in his departure. John Thain's actions exemplify how hard it is for the industry to wean itself off the huge paychecks and massive spending the last decade brought. Even as financial companies now rely on taxpayer dollars just to stay in business a little longer. You've always had this Wall Street ethic of, I'm going to push the rules as far as I can. Do anything you got to do to make that money. That's been a part of the culture for a long time, said an academic director of the Business Roundtable Institute for Corporate Ethics. Somehow, the long hours many bankers work help feed an attitude of entitlement or greed, he said. And he added, the government for years has given Wall Street free rein to do whatever they wanted to do, basically. On Friday of last week, citing the reports about companies that have received taxpayer assistance, then going out and renovating bathrooms or offices for millions of dollars, Barack Obama said the lack of accountability and transparency at financial companies have to be part and parcel of a reform package if we're going to be responsible in dealing with this huge, grave economic crisis. And the reports of John Thain's expenditures follow more news. Just a few months ago, the bailed out American International Group Incorporated, AIG, spent approximately $500,000 for a few executives to attend a beach retreat in California. Just one retreat. Again, somehow, Wall Street employees have come to expect big compensation packages as their paychecks kept getting bigger and bigger year after year. Pure greed. Massive, uncontrolled, unregulated greed. The difference between wages in finance and wages in other private sector industries was excessively high from at least the mid-1990s until 2006. The last time the difference was similar was around 1930, right after the stock market crash of 1929. Merrill-Lynch paid John Thain more than $83 million in 2007. That's ridiculous in some kind of way, making him the highest paid CEO on Wall Street that year. Then, the firm went on to lose more than $37 billion over the course of 15 months and was only saved from total collapse in a government-brokered buyout by Charlotte, North Carolina-based Bank of America Corporation. John Thain is a symbol of the species. Greediness beyond measure. Uncontrolled greed. It's a breed that I think is going to have to change its habits. That lifestyle is not going to be there for most of them anymore, if not all of them. And Citigroup recently said it plans to tie executive pay more closely to performance. It spent $6.6 billion on total compensation and benefits in the fourth quarter of 2008, down 26% from the same quarter in 2007. The changes were slow moving though, considering that the institution's problems started escalating in late 2007. For the first 3 quarters of the year, compensation and benefits were actually higher than in the same period a year earlier, even though Citigroup was losing money rapidly. And that was before the company received a government bailout or handout. For all of 2008, Citigroup's spending on compensation and benefits was down 4% from 2007, although its workforce shrank by much larger 14%. That means the company's expenses per worker were rising as the company struggled. And despite efforts to slash bonuses, Wall Street's bonus-driven or greed-driven culture has been very tough to shed. Yes, greed and greediness and covetousness has brought this financial crisis upon this country and upon the world. Greed, greediness, covetousness is destroying the financial systems of the world rapidly. Out of control greed, unregulated. Managers argue that big bonuses are necessary to retain good employees. But those looking from the outside in are skeptical. How much does it take to retain good people to manage these companies? Tens of millions of dollars? Billions? That's ridiculous. The truth is, there are an awful lot of talented, unemployed people out there right now. There's a mythology that there are only a precious few geniuses that can run these places. And that's simply just not true. These executives, overpaid, greedy executives, are coming from, in the view of the world, more failed organizations. It just looks bad. It is bad. Well, that's part of the reason of the economic crisis is now going on around the world. Yes, it is a worldwide economic crisis. And it's more than that. There's something bigger going on here. Real change must come. It must happen rapidly. All systems that can change must change. And all these are connected or interconnected to everything else that's going on in the world. All the other happenings. And these are more end times. Transition day signs, or transition time signs. There is a transition going on. It is happening day by day, every day, all around the world.